Hey everyone, and welcome to the first annual Winnipeg Sports Car Club Grassroots E-Race Series, event number 1, AE-86 at Limerock Park, brought to you by Tracer JDM Imports. Looks like we got a full grid of 7 cars today. Let's not waste any time and let's open up this race and see what happens. This is our first race brought to you by the Winnipeg Sports Car Club E-Race Series. We started doing this on the side last year, kind of as off the book sort of deal, but this year it is fully implemented into the Winnipeg Sports Car Club, and we got an awesome year lined up full of a ton of different races. We got the GT Championship, everything. Now that we're in, let's hop in and take a look. We're jumping right into the first race. Qualifying first, we have JS Dozo sitting in first. Followed by him, we have Scott Smith sitting right beside him in second. Right behind Scott, Spencer Green sitting in third. Behind Scott, we got myself, Ian Stesic. In 5th place, Willard Popplestone. And in 6th, Peter Wangsong. I'm just going to call you Peter from now on. Sorry about butchering your last name there, Peter. And then behind him, leading up the back of the pack, we have George Abrams. So it looks like we're just getting ready to start here, doing the minute countdown. Go through the field, and let's watch this from Willard Popplestone's point of view. See how he manages. Oh, he's shifting. Looks like we're getting ready to go here. This AE-86 is quite a challenging car to drive. It really likes to slide a lot, and I'm sure you'll see that during this race. There'll be a lot of sliding going on, and we're off! Looks like Peter's sneaking alongside Willard here. Can he make the pass? No, he tucks in behind Willard. Meanwhile, Scott Smith goes wide and leaves the door open for Spencer. They're side by side. Let's see what's going on here. Can Spencer hold on to it? No, Scott takes the inside and just pulls ahead of Spencer. Meanwhile, JS keeps his lead throughout the whole race. We're following behind the eyes of me, Ian Stesic. Let's jump back into what Willard's watching. As we come into the chicane, hard on the brakes. Oh, does Peter go for a peek? He does, but Willard does not leave the door open, leaves Peter no room and forces Peter off. Meanwhile, George! What is George doing here? Let's take a look at what just happened here with George Abrams. George, quite a bit behind from everyone, and looks like he just forgets to brake here. Goes right through the chicane, and kind of loses the rear end coming out, and it looks like he crashes into this guardrail here. That is definitely going to hurt George's time, and he's going to get a penalty, and he's going to wreck his car a bit. Meanwhile, let's see what's going on closer to the front. Looks like we still have JS leading the pack, followed shortly behind him with Scott Smith and Spencer Green. Ian Stesic has the draft behind Spencer. Is enough to make it count? No, it doesn't look like it is. Ian brakes way too late, goes wide, goes 4 off here. Just trying to get those 2 wheels back on pavement to pull it in. Meanwhile, he leaves the door open for Willard. Willard sees me going off, takes full advantage of it, and takes 4th place away from me. Peter pulls off the same hacking a downhill livery on their AE-86. Doesn't seem to be paying off on them though, as they're closer to the rear of the pack. Meanwhile, let's watch this battle between Spencer and Scott for 2nd place. Same car, same livery, might be kind of hard to tell who's who. Spencer right on the tail of Scott coming down the front straight here. Looks to be about 2-second gap to him, not even, maybe 1 second. Coming hot into the first turn going left. Ooh, looks like Spencer's starting to close in on him a bit. Hard braking into the chicane, downshift to 3rd. He was dropping Let's take a look and see where Peter's at. Peter seems to be pretty far away from us. And meanwhile, George is just trying to control the monster that is the AE-86. Hold on. Where did we lose Scott Smith to? Oh no! Coming down the straight. Scott, what happened? Just loses it. Looks like he braked way too late. And he crashes right into that tire barrier hard. Ooh, there goes Scott's place. He hit that hard. He's sure gonna have damage after that heavy hit. He's gonna have to do a full lap and try and make it back to the pit to get some repairs done. Not great for Scott. Meanwhile, Willard avoids George Abrams just doing donuts in the midfield there. Spencer Green has some breathing room now, trying to break in the time to catch JS in front of him, although JS seems like he's taken that first place and he just ran away with it. He's definitely racing his own race here. Spencer's going to have a lot of catch-up to play if he wants to catch JS. He's going to have to hope for some mistake on his half or something, because I don't think just sheer driving will be enough for him to catch up to JS. He's going to have to hope for a mistake from him. Meanwhile, with all the action that's going on, Willard Popplestone has found his way into third place. Right behind him, it looks like we have Peter. Ooh, and what happens there? George Abrams, big off by him again. Let's watch the battle between Peter and Ian. Both in the Hackett downhill AE-86 livery. We're following Peter's car right now as he tries to catch up to Ian Stesic. Can he make it stick? Coming hard into the braking zone of the chicane, hard on the brakes. Peter a little bit too hard, brakes early, cuts four wheels off on the first apex of the chicane. He doesn't appear to have lost much time there. Abrams going into the pit to serve, I'm sure, one of his many stop and go penalties for all his four-wheels off. I'll tell you right now, these cars with the factory setup which George Abrams is racing is very, very loose. The tire pressures are set way too high on them, especially for a race. The overheated tires are just turns into a hot mess. So I'm sure George is running the stock tire pressure on his car and having a hell of a time just trying to keep it planted on the road. But it appears so am I right now, as the car is just sliding all over the place. And it looks like that's left the door open for Peter to gain some ground on me. Coming in hot into the chicane. Peter brakes early again. Doesn't appear to help the speed out of there like I did. Now this is a tough corner. You gotta turn it way earlier than your mind tells you to. Because if you don't, that off camera will just suck you right towards the outside. Finally here. Ooh! Peter gets a little bit slidey there and loses quite a bit of speed. Meanwhile, Scott Smith, it appears he pitted and has got his car fixed. And he is now just trying to play catch up to Peter. George looks like his car is hurting a bit. Looks like he's moving slow. He might need to pit for repairs here if he wants to finish this race. Back up to first place, we have J.S. Stozel holding a comfortable lead on everyone else. He's just kind of racing his own race up there. If he can keep consistent, he has this first place in the bag, but he's got to race consistent. He can even sacrifice some time each lap. He's got that big of a lead on Spencer. Meanwhile, Spencer is just hoping for a mistake from JS so he can play catch up. If JS makes no mistakes, then Spencer's just racing his own race out here alongside him. Third place right behind that, we have Willard Popplestone, who appears to be a little ways away from Spencer Green, but all it takes is one off and he's right caught up to him. Spencer coming into turn one here, hard on the brakes. and keeps the car from sliding around. That's some good car control. They're sharp into the second apex here, and he's out of the corner on the gas hard. Quick tap of the brakes coming into 3 here. And it appears the apex is very early and loses speed as it takes him to the outside. If you have to transition there too fast, it upsets the car. You really want to late apex at turn 3 and set yourself up for turn 4 for the straightaway here. Hard on the brakes for the chicane. Very hard. Turns, but completely misses his apex there and loses quite a bit of time. Meanwhile, Ian Stesic, I wouldn't say catching up because he's a little bit of ways away from Willard, but it's not over yet. He's hunting for him. Peter behind me, though, has not lost me. He has been on my tail this entire race, and I cannot lose him no matter what. Scott Smith trying to catch up to Peter here. Not too far off from behind, a couple seconds for sure, though. Let's see what Willard does. Oh no, Willard goes off in turn 1 and goes sideways. Leaves the door open for Ian Stesic. I come around this corner, and right there I can see he's off, and I take full advantage of this. And I take him. I take third place. Can Peter do it too? Peter right on the tail of Willard, but Willard gets back on track and regains some speed before Peter can make the pass. Willard goes wide though and leaves it open for Peter, but Peter doesn't take it, has to step off the brakes to avoid a collision. And it looks like we have a proper battle for third here now. Hard into the chicane, let's see what Willard does. Ooh, beautiful line through that chicane. It looked like Peter took the better line and he is right on his tail. Hard brake in the second last corner here. Beautiful line, just managed to put the wheels out onto the curbing. Turns into the last corner. Ooh, misses the apex by quite a bit, and he's sliding. Just catches that curbing. Manages to save it. Definitely has the speed on Willard here. He's gaining him coming into turn 1. He's got the draft, he's got the game, but it's not enough to make it. Hard on the brakes. Oh, and Peter slides sideways. Oh no, Peter goes off on turn 1. Just broke that little bit, brakes a little bit too late and loses it. Leaves the door open for Scott Smith, who now takes 5th place after getting his car fixed. Scott's going to have some reeling to do if he wants to get back to that 2nd place where he started in. With this short of a race, which is 15 laps, I can't see that happening. Meanwhile, Willard is still hot on my tail for 3rd place. Beautiful chicane there, beautiful line through there. Let's see what's going on in the battle of 1st and 2nd. First place, J.S. Souza just coming out of turn 4 here onto the straight. Meanwhile, Spencer appears to be quite a ways behind him. A good 20 seconds at least. Doesn't appear to be closing that gap to J.S., but is definitely putting on a gap between me and Willard. Looks like these two front leaders are just racing their own race now, trying to stay consistent to finish the race in the position that they're in. Meanwhile, to the battle for third between Neil and Willard, coming into turn 3 here, pretty much the only left-hander I count on this entire course, the only really corner that puts 8-year tires. We're on to the back straight here, and here's, I have about a 2-second gap in front of Willard. Hard in the chicane. Turns in, 2 wheels off, 2 wheels off, 2 wheels off. That is a beautiful chicane there by Willard. Excellent racing line through there. Scott Smith appears to be breaking in ground on us. Gap to Willard is about 8 seconds now. Abrams leading up the rear of the pack. Let's watch a lap in his eyes. Hard into turn 1. Turns in. Oh no! Manages to keep 2 wheels on the pavement. Manages to make it through the corner, even though he put his outside wheels off. Into turn 3 here. Misses the apex by quite a bit. And has to slow down to avoid going off. Coming hard into the chicane here. Oh no! George Abrams misses the chicane completely. Some sort of attempt to catch up to Scott Smith. I believe Scott Smith is a lap or two in front of George, so I think George is trying to play catch-up for the sake of playing catch-up here to have some fun out there. Meanwhile, JS Sozo still holding his own place in first, followed by Spencer Green, who appears to be quite a ways behind JS, but is quite a ways in front of the battle for third here. Speaking of which, the battle of third is still going on. Willard is still on the tail of myself there, but just can't appear to make up the ground to get close enough to make a pass. Scott Smith is still behind us, still about 8 seconds, 10 seconds, just not making up the ground to me and Willard. Bringing up the rear. Watch a lot through the eyes of Willard here, chasing up to Ian Sesson. Beautiful corner, 2 wheels on the curbing, powers out of it. Now that's how you do turn 1 and 2. Coming into 3, Apex is very early in 3, forcing him to slow down and lose a bunch of speed there. Gets kicked outside, so 2 wheels coming out of 4, and that's going to cost him time. Coming to the chicane, brakes hard, downshifts to third, downshifts to second for the chicane. Ooh. In my eyes, that is the third gear corner, otherwise you're shifting right through the middle of that chicane. You do not want to do that, it definitely affects the car. With half the brakes, he turns into the second last corner, lets the car drift outside, and catch on the curbing. Meanwhile, coming to the last turn, and easily one of the fastest corners. And one of the most critical is at least the longest straightaway here. That last corner can make or break a lap, that's for sure. Stesic just praying that he can do consistent laps and hold third place here. Willard is right behind him though, and trust me, I see him in my mirrors. I am panicking at this point, just trying to stay consistent, trying to stay on track here. Oh, and Ian loses it through the chicane! Doesn't appear to have lost him too much time though. Into the second last corner, lets the car drift outside to the curbing, power down as we go downhill to the final corner. Misses the apex by quite a bit, but manages to save it, just drift towards that. Meanwhile, it looks like, hold on here, we appear to have lost Willard. Going back in time here to see if we can see where we lost Willard from. Oh no! What's happened here? Well, it appears I was in slow motion, and that's what happened there. Meanwhile, Willard coming through the last chicane, hard on the gas, and oh no, could it be Willard is out of fuel on the last lap of the race? Willard runs out of gas. Meanwhile, going back in time here, let's check out our leaderboard. JS on his final lap, holds the speed coming through. Heavy down the front straight. And JS will win that race in a first place finish. He qualified first and he managed to stay in first that entire race. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Spencer Green still sitting in second. Coming through the final corner here. Goes downhill, turns right to the front straightaway. Ooh, you can tell he doesn't have much left for tires there. Heavy on the throttle. And that'll be Spencer finishing second place. He qualified third, but managed to make his way and hold it to second. And from there, he stayed for the whole race because Scott Smith one big off at the beginning. Myself against Stesic crosses the finish line, and he was secured third place. Meanwhile, Scott Smith going for fourth. Crossed the line, managed to take fourth place away from Willard, who has ran out of gas. Poor Willard, he's managed to be just sitting there. Peter appears to give a little friendly wave to Willard as he finishes his last lap here. And here comes Ian Stesic barreling towards Willard even though his race is over. And it appears that I am going to push him across the finish line. No man left behind. Give him a little nudge. Willard, you are crossing that finish line or my name is not Ian Stesic. Meanwhile, George Abrams appears to be just playing on his phone in his car. He was a back marker that whole race and managed to finish as a back marker. George takes 7th place. Spencer Green, excited to drive his life, doing victory burnout, takes 2nd place. Meanwhile, Scott Smith watching Spencer Green just roast his tires off. And here comes Peter ending his race the only way he knows how with a big crash. Well, it appears I've gotten Willard to start moving. Couple friendly nudges. Couple more, give him a push. All we have to do is get him to that downward slope here, and he should have enough speed to cross the finish line. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that is our race. With first place, we have J.S. Stozel. Coming up second is Spencer Green. Third place comes Ian Stesic, followed behind Scott Smith. Behind Scott, we have Peter. And then moving up a place from 7th, finishing the race 6th, we have George Abrams. And Willard Popplestone crosses the line 7th with no fuel whatsoever. Thank you all for joining us for our first Grassroots Series race. It was a blast having you guys here. It was a blast talking to you guys. We'll see you at the next one. Take care.